Hey, can you hear me? You can't hear me? Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so what's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name's Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary, with my beautiful wife from Turkey for our 17th episode of our movie review series. Say hi, boo.
Hi, everyone. I'm AKDI, and we're going to be reviewing a documentary today.
Yeah. This is The Greatest Night in Pop, the 2024 documentary on Netflix about the making of the song We Are the World, which I actually did enjoy. I wanted to watch something more light, more fun, more, how can I say, anything that's not Gaspar Noah. Anything not where somebody dies, not where somebody's murdered, nothing tragic. I just wanted to have something that was more fun. I did get a recommendation from one of our longtime followers, Violator. He recommended another movie, which we will review, but it's too dark right now, so let's just do something fun. But I enjoyed this movie. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it a lot. I love music documentaries. I love just seeing the people that we know and we think of as legends, seeing them in their space working and all of that. So it definitely filled my heart with warmth, and it was great.
Yeah, definitely something positive you can turn on just to put you in a better mood. But I got to say this. So let's talk about when we first heard We Are the World. So I'm a kid of the 90s, like a millennial, true millennial, born in 1990. And so We Are the World sort of always played in the background. And I think I remember maybe in like fourth or fifth grade music class, like one of my teachers played the song for us when they were like teaching us about music history. And I always just thought it was okay. It has like a catchy hook. I really like the part in the song where there's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. Like when they go down on that part, I always thought that part was cool. But the rest of the song for me is, kind of generic. At least the first time I heard it, I have a new appreciation for the song after watching the movie. But it was just sort of always in the background of like growing up as a kid in America, and you would never just like play "We Are the World" just to jam out. But that's the first time I heard it. What about you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely, those type of, I guess we can say like charity songs, or I don't know, songs about like some of awareness. Like, yeah, you like them because they have a strong message, but it's not like something you jam to. And I have to be honest, like I didn't grow up with the song. It wasn't on the background. Maybe I probably heard it like in commercials or something. But yeah, the first time I listened to the song, I was like in high school. So, and I was like, going through my Michael phase. So obviously I listened to the song. I didn't know like the whole story behind it. Of course, I didn't know like how it happened and stuff. I just knew it was for Africa and it was like cool. But I do have a soft spot for like these type of songs. Maybe it's just me, but Michael had like another song called "Heal the World." I don't know if you know that one,
Yeah, I
but
probably have because all of Michael's music is just in the background of my life.
yeah, I mean that one is also like about children, also about like just sort of like environmentalist type of song. And I used to
Yeah,
love that song. I used to like do
I think
karaoke
my
of it,
favorite.
and I used to like listen to it all the time.
Yeah, I think my favorite like inspiring Michael Jackson song is "You Are Not Alone." That or "Human Nature." Both of them are just very like touching and inspirational, sentimental for me. But I'm
Yeah,
sure "Heal the World" is great too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's Heal the World has sort of like the same tunes as We Are the World. It's like
Mhm.
a, kind of like peaceful melody and that chorus and stuff like that. So this song reminds me of Heal the World because that was my original favorite song about like humanity and the world and all of that. But then, I heard We Are the World, and I think Heal the World came later after.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right, so jumping into the movie. So the movie starts, and basically, it talks about this guy who was like this big record exec or big talent manager in LA, and he gets a call one day from this guy named Harry Belafonte. Now, Harry Belafonte is like an icon of the music industry because I believe he was the first person in U.S. history to sell 1 million copies of a record, which is, he's the first guy to go platinum, not the first black man, the first person to sell 1 million copies.
mm,
And he was also a major like political activist too, who marched with Martin Luther King, fought for civil rights, and all of that. And by the way, I don't even think he was from America. I think he was from like Barbados or the Bahamas or something like that. And yeah, he's definitely one of our icons. And so he hears about this song, I believe from the UK, where all the major UK artists come together to make a Christmas song that's going to raise money for charity. And he says, you know what, why don't we do this? Why don't we get all of our major stars in America, particularly the black ones, so that they can raise money to help Africa? Because we don't just need more white people saving Africa. Why don't we actually do something while in America? And I thought that was cool how it opened up. What did you think of that?
yeah, it was definitely. I really liked. Like I didn't know, Harry Belafonte, but I did. I when I heard him sing that song, of course I knew the song. Like I know the song. It's a legendary song, and I
Sing the
think,
song.
hey yo, at daylight come and we don't want to
Want
go
to
home.
go home. Let go.
Yeah,
Hey, yo, hey, hey.
hey yo, yeah.
Hey, this is
It's
a music movie review, so we're gonna be singing a lot. So get used to it.
yeah. No, it's a great song. It's one of those songs that just instantly makes you happy and instantly gives you hope. And I didn't know him, and I didn't know his story. I didn't know like the guy who sang that song was also a political figure, and was together with MLK and all of that stuff. So it was very nice to see that, and it was also very nice to have that sort of like you said, they were like saying, why don't we as black people help other Black people somewhere around the world who look like us. And yeah, that's pretty inspiring, you know?
Now let me ask you a question though. Would We Are the World be as big if it was only Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, Quincy Jones? Would it be as big, or should they have to have put white artists on it to really make it that big? Because on one hand, it's We Are the World, right? And the world is not just black folks, right?
Hmm.
But if we think about it, pop music, major music, right, is mostly run by a bunch of like mostly black men and black women who make the biggest hits. You get what I'm saying? I
I,
don't know. What do
I
you think?
I think like it probably would be still very big if it was only like those, you know, very iconic Black artists back then. But it's also about like, you know, because they put like Bruce Springsteen there or Bob Dylan there, then you have like the people who listen to them as well. So you
Mm.
have their audiences as well. So I think that was like the idea, just kind of reaching all music genres and of the artists, and then reaching their demographics. Because let's be like, when you think about the Black artists, they were mostly like appealing to one, you know, audience.
I don't know, man. Stevie Wonder is big. Everybody loves
Yeah.
Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson had the biggest album of all time that year. You get what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
like I said, it would have been like pretty big still. Just because, you know, those big names were there, it would have been like still pretty big, but it just got bigger when they included like every genre and every artist from every genre.
That's true. I'm a little bit torn about that because I feel like the world's racism would have said, okay, this is a black ass song, so they would have just put it on R&B radio if it was just black artists. And like for the goal that they were looking for to raise money from everybody to help the starving Ethiopians, like yeah, you need to bring Springsteen, you need to bring Dylan, you need to bring Kenny Rogers and Hall and Oates, and you get what I'm saying. But I just really wonder how different would the song be. Like would that song have that swing? Like you
I
get what I'm
think
saying?
but I really like the idea because also I feel like at that time, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't like really know or I don't have the information to prove it, but at that time, like, you know, I don't think a lot of like Black artists and white artists were doing like duets or, you know, featuring each other and stuff. Maybe there were like one or two and stuff like that. And of course, there were people working together behind the scenes, like as, you know, music directors and stuff like that from all races. But when you look at the stage, there wasn't really that mix of, you know, different races and demographics on the stage. And I think that's also like, you know, that was good too. Like, yeah, Bob Dylan can come together with Stevie Wonder. You know, where else are we gonna have that?
Yeah, exactly. You were never going to see Stevie Wonder and Bob Dylan collaborate again, right? But it actually worked out though because they made some of the best chemistry in the movie, and we're going to talk about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good point because there is that sort of segregation in American music. Like when I was growing up, there was a black station, like a black radio station, and a white radio station. They didn't say it, but like one station plays hip hop, the other station plays like rock and roll and stuff like that. You
Hmm.
you kind of know, you get what I'm saying? And there's like
Yeah.
different radio DJs and announcers, and I'm pretty sure back in the '80s it was even more segregated. You know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like today, you have, I don't know, Ariana Grande doing a song with Nicki Minaj and Megan
Mm.
Thee Stallion and stuff like that. But back then, I don't think that it was that, you know, popular.
Right, right. It was weird, I guess, because looking back on it, I really think there was a bigger divide in music. But nowadays, so much of popular music is hip hop and R&B influenced, right? Like
Yeah.
Lil Nas X makes "Old Country Road," right, and that goes to the top of the country charts. But that's like a hip hop song. You get what I'm saying? And Drake makes pop music, like R&B music, and it goes to the top of the rap charts. There's like so much blending now in music, but back then, not so much.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So moving on in the story, basically, the LA manager guy calls up his guy Lionel Richie after Harry Belafonte calls him, and the manager guy says, "I need you," and Lionel says, "I'll do it." How much money we talking? No, there's no money involved. Everybody was volunteering, I guess. But I was thinking that, like, come on, somebody had to cut a check. Somebody had to cut a check to make all this happen. You get
No,
what I'm
that
saying?
that was the point, but it was like charity. That's the point. Like you don't earn anything from charity, really.
Right.
And all of those people, if they like they rented one studio for like what, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever it was, like, you know, all those people can afford that. So
That's true.
it makes sense that, you know, nobody got paid, really.
Right.
It's
Right.
one song.
I mean, we'll talk about that later. I feel like the movie does a good job of like humanizing musicians because, in my head, I was thinking like, okay, money had to be involved because this is the music industry, right? It's run by gangsters, it's big money involved. But on the other hand, when you're watching this documentary, you sort of see people laughing, being human, making mistakes, getting drunk, getting agitated. You see all of these emotions in these people that we usually just imagine are just like people who sold their soul to the devil and, they sucked dick to get in the room with Michael Jackson. You get what I'm saying? Do you get what you
Yeah,
follow me?
I don't really like that type of thinking. Like, I do understand maybe, like, you know, celebrities obviously have some sort of egos and characters and stuff like that. But it was more like, it seemed like the way they told the story, you know, one person called another person who was their friend, and then they called another person who was their friend. So it was a bit like everyone called a friend and everyone did a favor for a friend, basically. And these were like big names. So some of the people who were involved in the project were like, I can't miss this chance because like Michael's going to be there, Lionel Richie's going to be there, and all of that stuff. So,
Right, right. All right, but sorry, I got off track. We're going to talk more about this movie. I don't want to get caught up in the first 10 minutes of it. But
no,
anyway,
it's okay.
the manager guy calls up Lionel Richie after Harry Belafonte calls him and says, "We need you to orchestrate this song that Harry Belafonte is putting together." He wants all the major artists to make a benefit song. And Lionel Richie was the lead singer or one of the singers in the Commodores, which was like a big band in the 70s. They got one song I really like called Zoom, which is really dope, I think. That's from the Commodores. But yeah, every time I see Lionel Richie, I always think about like what Rick James said or what somebody said about Rick James and Lionel Richie. That Lionel Richie was Rick James that didn't make white people uncomfortable because Rick James was like a rock star at that time. Rick James was huge, and the fact Rick James ain't on it on this song makes me a bit upset because Rick James is that dude. You know what I mean? And Lionel
Yeah.
Richie is like the pop version of him. But Lionel is still connected because he's more connected with Motown. Rick James didn't come from that Motown legacy, I think.
Yeah,
So
he's like an early Will Smith, like the
yeah,
Will Smith of the music world, or I don't know.
yeah, the Will Smith of the music world, like just friendly guy, not making people uncomfortable. So Lionel Richie gets on the phone with his old friend Michael Jackson, and Michael's like, "I'm in." Wait, you got to do the Michael voice.
How am I gonna do the Michael voice?
You
Okay.
got to say, "I'm in, Lionel."
I mean, Lionel. Oh, okay, I'll
There
do
we
it.
go. So they get together, they start cooking up the song and stuff like that. Meanwhile, they're making more phone calls. Like, who can we get on it? Okay, Stevie Wonder in, Cyndi Lauper in, Bruce Springsteen in. Who else was in this joint?
Let's see. 1 second.
I have the whole list here, but
Yeah,
Ray Charles in. Just go off the top of your head.
yeah. Tina Turner, Diana Ross. Let's see.
Dionne
Daryl
Warwick,
Hall. Yeah.
yeah,
Bob
Kenny
Dylan.
Rogers, Kenny Rogan, Kenny Loggin. Like every genre of that era was in. I'm just going off memory, so just go off memory
Willie
too.
Nelson.
Willie Nelson was in that thing, so they start calling up everybody. But the scheduling for artists is like hella hard because of they're megastars, superstars, and they decide to record the song on the same night that the American Music Awards happen. And what did you think about like the whole organizing of the event? Like, who even thought that could be possible? I don't know. What did you think of that? Because I'm just putting myself back then. Like, when we know the song exists, but to not know that this song could even be possible is still an audacious thing to do. Even if you have Michael Jackson on the record, even if you have Stevie Wonder there, you can't guarantee Springsteen to show up because he's like, I'm Springsteen, man. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a smart choice to do it then because then like people are going to be in the city. We don't have to fly anyone in, or it's not going to make a lot of noise because the most of the attention is on American Music Awards and stuff like that. So it was definitely like a smart business scheduling choice that they did, and it was like pretty smart. That's what I thought like then. And
Yeah,
we
I
have
just
to
thought.
talk about like Lionel Richie telling us about Michael Jackson's house.
Oh yeah, let's get into that. So they're making all the calls of like orchestrating the song, but meanwhile Lionel and Michael meet up and they've known each other for a long time. Like Lionel tells the story about Michael getting his first car, but he's scared of the freeway. So when he drives to Lionel Richie's house to show him his car, he's like taking all the back alleys and stuff like that. And he's known him ever since he was a little kid. But they start working on the song together, and Lionel and Michael, this is their first time actually like really getting to know each other, like be around each other. And so Lionel goes to Michael's house, Neverland, not Neverland Mansion, I don't think, but one of his big LA houses. And Michael's got the monkey in there. What was the monkey's name?
Oh, I don't know.
Bubbles, yeah, it's Bubbles.
Bubbles.
Yeah, the monkey is there. Michael's like, play with the monkey. And Lionel's like, I don't want to play with the monkey. And like Michael's animals are fighting with each other. Like his talking parrot is fighting with his dog and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
Lionel's just like, bro, this song is never going to get done. What
Yeah,
did you
they're
think of
just
that?
sort of like goofing around, taking their time because I mean, they tell it like they have the idea, so and they don't know when it's gonna happen. The date isn't set yet, so they're just like, okay, like how do we do this? Do we do it like that? Do we do it like this? So they're just like sort of only discussing ideas.
Yeah, yeah. What did you think of Michael's creative process? He, didn't play any instruments, but he would hum like different parts, like do 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 do. Like he would come up with the melodies with his voice. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I think it's like it's super different, obviously, because most artists, I feel like, at least during that time and even today, know how to play like instruments so they can like create the rhythms and songs and stuff like that. And it's really also when you think like that, then it's hard to translate that into instruments. And I just imagine it would take a lot of different experiments to get the sound that you want because the sound that you have is only like you're humming. You're not like playing the piano and stuff like that.
Michael's process, if what Lionel said is true, reminds me a lot of like how I've heard Kanye makes his songs and what we've seen on video of him. Like he'll just be like mumbling words to come up with his raps, da 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 like that. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
other great rappers as well, because I'm more familiar with hip hop, come up with a lot of their lyrics and flows in their head. So like they'll be in the studio mumbling to themselves, putting together their verses, and then they go in the booth and spit it. They don't write anything down. Like Big does that, Jay-Z did that. Lil Wayne does that, and so many other people try to do that too. So I thought that was interesting that Michael, sort of used that same sort of template, writing music in his head or just letting sounds naturally come to him. And it's probably a technique a lot of other people do too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But it does sound like something that just like kind of comes from within.
Hmm. So yeah, they eventually come up with the idea of like "We Are the World," but at the same time that they come up with like the basic melody or the basic theme, a giant snake almost attacks Lionel Richie, and he was like, "I'm gonna get out of Michael's house," because Michael's house is like a zoo. It made no sense, and it built even more. How can I say this? Mythos around Michael. Like now, I have so many other things that I'm thinking about Michael. Like, how did he live with a snake in his house?
Yeah, I mean, when Lionel Richie is like telling that story, they're showing on the screen like Michael playing with his snake. Like
Yeah.
he's hugging it, he's like caressing it and stuff like that, and the snake is like all up in his neck and arms and stuff like that. That's crazy. But I love Michael. Like he's such a weird, like kind spirit.
Yeah, like you see a lot of like sentimental moments with Michael in this movie, and I swear to
Yeah.
God, if my voice wasn't hoarse, I'd be doing a crazy Michael Jackson run right now of him playing with the snake. It would be hilarious, but I can't do it now.
Okay.
Anyway, yo, so they put together the song, and then basically, like the American Music Awards happens, and Lionel Richie is like winning all the awards and stuff like that. And
And
yeah,
he's also hosting.
yeah, and he's also hosting the awards too, which shows you how big of a star he was at the time, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, they want to get a bunch of people like Madonna and Prince to come, but you know, they're a bit tricky. They're a bit tricky. You know, they send out the song to everybody, right? I'm going a bit back in the story, and they all say, yeah, it's cool. I got the impression when they first heard the demo tape of "We Are the World," they were like, it's a bit cheesy. That's what I was thinking. Like
Yeah,
Springsteen said, you know, it's a broad song. You know, it has broad appeal. And other people are like, yeah, it's cool, but I'm just here for Michael Jackson. That's what one of the guys said. But I don't know. What did you think?
yeah, I think like, when you only hear the demo of like just two people singing and it's not really like a serious recording, it's just a demo. It's kind of hard to imagine what type of effect it will have as a chorus, like as a whole, like everyone singing and there are a lot of like soloists in the song and they all put their own flavors to it. And it's kind of hard to imagine how it's going to come out. So I get that it might sound cheesy with just like two guys singing on the microphone,
Right,
but
right,
like thinking of myself, no matter how big of an artist I was back then, if I heard Michael sing it, because they do show like him doing his solo runs and stuff alone in the studio, and he just sounds magical. So if I just heard him doing those things, I would just be like in,
right, right,
just for him. But yeah, obviously like a lot of those people, Prince and Madonna and all of that, like they had big hits. So
right.
maybe they were like, this is just gonna be like small cheesy project. Maybe I don't want to do it.
But
So
let's keep it real. Like it's also about being on brand. Like you know, Bob Dylan doesn't really fit the brand of "We Are the World" the way Stevie Wonder does, or Michael does,
yeah.
or Lionel Richie does. You get what I'm saying? Like Prince doesn't really fit that brand because at that time Prince was like the nastiest man alive. You know, like he was making the dirtiest songs that were heard on radio. And you know, maybe Prince was like, "Yeah, I shouldn't touch that," because maybe he was thinking like, you know, I could actually hurt this song. Like, do y'all really know who I am? I'm Prince, the man that walks around with the pants that don't have the ass on the cover. You get what I'm saying? Like, do you want me to talk about "We Are the Children"? You get what I'm saying? And Madonna too. Madonna was like a virgin. You want like a virgin on "We Are the Children"? Come on now. You get
Yeah,
what I'm
but
saying?
I think like I'm not sure about Prince, but I think Madonna was like at that time doing like going to Africa and doing charity and stuff, or maybe it was after that. I'm not
Mm.
sure, but I mean, I do think that they related to the cause, but it could be the branding. But I also think like if the producers want them to be in the song, they probably considered like the damage, the pros and cons, and all of that, and then
Madonna was
they
going to
decided
Africa for
like
something
we
else.
want it.
Put facts on it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the fact is that some people find them, how do you say that? Like what is the word? I forgot. Some people find those artists who talk about sexual stuff in their songs. Just what is the word? Help me.
What? I don't know exactly what you're saying.
Like some people find them weird, like not appropriate,
Right? Yeah,
scandalous.
inappropriate.
Yeah, scandalous. So, but they also have a huge audience, and when you put them together with all the other people like Bruce Springsteen and stuff like that, they might balance each other out in the song.
Right, but I think you missed the joke. I said Madonna was going to Africa for something else.
Oh wow, wow. I don't know about that.
She was not going there for the children. She was
Wow.
going.
I think she did charity. Stop.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, Lionel Richie is hosting the AMAs and also winning Mad Awards. They invite, you know, Sheila E., who is like Prince's, I guess, like drummer, percussionist, singer too, to be on the song, and they sort of kind of invite her there as sort of like bait for Prince to come. But Prince don't bite. He's gonna go beat somebody in a game of basketball instead. And Cyndi Lauper almost drops out of the song because her boyfriend was like, the song's whack. And you know, Lionel Richie said the most gangster stuff. He said, "Don't make a mistake. You're gonna be on the song." I was like, "Oh, Lionel Richie a pimp? Don't get it confused. That light skinned nigga dangerous."
Wow.
I thought that was hard. That was
Yeah.
hard. And
Yeah.
then yeah, moving on. You know, after the AMAs, they shoot the same thing the same goddamn night. So they go to the studio and like it's camera crews there, so they're filming the video, taking pictures, interviewing people while they're
And
making the song, and it was insane. What do you
yeah,
think?
like when they first start, they don't actually know who's going to show up because they send all these like tapes of and song and lyrics and all that, but they're not really sure like is Cyndi Lauper going to show up? Like yeah, like Lionel Richie sort of threatens her a
Hmm.
little bit, gives her the check, but they don't know like who's actually going to come. And like Bruce Springsteen is like in Buffalo and stuck in a like snowstorm or something, and flights are getting canceled. They don't know if he's going to make it and stuff like that. And also, I want to like just go back a little bit. They like have music, vocal, arrangers and stuff like that. And I think those people are kind of like the backbone of a project like this because you have like 40 plus people in the recording room. So who's going to sing after who? This person, I forgot his name, but he's like the vocal arranger, and he basically like listens to everyone, puts everyone like together according to their tones and stuff like that. There's like a lot of work that's being done, but it's all like very last minute because they only have like a month to plan this out. And within that month, they write the song, they send them out, they choreograph the whole thing, they get the crew. So it's like just insane work that's being done backstage. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because I thought all of that work was amazing.
Right. Quincy Jones was the man who was orchestrating the whole thing. Legendary producer, made a ton of hits. And Lionel Richie was sort of like the assistant captain. So he's singing on the song, but also at the same time, he's like helping the people, stay focused on task and have a good time. And the energy is up. They start recording like around 11 p.m. And the thing doesn't even finish until about 7 in the morning. So they were in there putting in a double shift. And I'm surprised nobody mentioned one time Lionel Richie's coke habit. Because ain't no way you can do the AMAs, perform, win a bunch of awards, and still stay up till 8 a.m. You got to. Somebody was on that blow. Somebody had the powder. Somebody had the
Definitely
magic
not
dust.
somebody, multiple buddies. Like I feel like, a lot of people were probably like maybe smoking weed, doing like cocaine or something like that, but everyone looked in general like collected.
Right. The only time they talked about drugs was like Al Jarreau's like alcohol habit.
Yeah,
Like
and we all know Bob Dylan was like super high.
Bob Dylan was stoned out of his mind. Every time the camera zoomed in on Bob, he was like in another dimension.
But
He
I
was
think he was also like super nervous too. Like you could feel it in his face.
right, definitely. So yeah, like they're all there, like laying down the chorus. So when they all arrive, they basically come together to try to do the chorus. Quincy Jones has to like quiet the people down. Ray Charles is there too, and it's a bunch of people, man, all different genres and stuff like that. And they start trying to sing the chorus, but they still kind of don't have the chorus right. And actually, let's take a step back and talk about the recording of the chorus because Michael Jackson was not at the AMAs, the American Music Awards, that year, and I believe it was 1984. He
Mhm.
decided to stay at the studio instead and record and lay his vocals down, which was dope because that scene with Michael like recording by himself, you hear how clear his voice is, how angelic, how serene and peaceful it is, but also powerful too. It was very, very moving. What did you think of that scene?
Yeah, I almost cried in that scene. But once again, I love Michael Jackson. Like every time I see him in these sort of documentaries and stuff like that, like I get teary eyed, and I just really like all of his energy and just like I love how he is so dedicated to his work. And yeah, like they put like one of the camera crew who was shooting the thing there, and this guy is saying like, nobody was in the studio. I was setting up the cameras and the lights and stuff, and I just hear Michael sing, and that was like the best thing I ever witnessed in my life.
Right.
And you can feel that when he sings.
I'm gonna say a little bit that Michael was cheating though by recording his vocals all ahead of time by himself in the room because everybody else after that sort of had to deal with the chaos that was around. So Michael was cheating a bit, but hey, the early bird gets the worm. He could have decided to go to the awards and then go to the studio, but he decided to work a little bit harder. So I'm gonna give Michael that, but that ain't fair though. That ain't
But
fair.
it's also about time because if he just records it and gets it out of the way, and he has the longest and biggest part in the whole like song because he sings in the beginning, he sings in the chorus, and then he sings again at the bridge.
Right.
So he had the biggest part. So I feel like it was sort of like, okay, let me just like get this out of the way before everyone comes in because after that, like everyone is going to be tired and stuff like that, and it's going to take a long time. So I think it was also like a timing thing as well.
I just got to point out though, because they're not in the movie at all, but Michael made sure that the family was on the song too, because Jackie Jackson is on the song, Latoya Jackson is on the song, Marlon Jackson is on the song, Randy Jackson is on the song, and Tito Jackson are all on the song. So like most of the Jackson Five is there, and two of the sisters are there too. And so that means Michael either brought them into the studio before or after to make
Yeah,
sure that they got a piece of the pie too. You get
yeah,
what I'm saying? So
yeah,
Michael is a genius. That's Machiavelli level. You get what I'm saying? He's
yeah.
yeah, but Michael was definitely dope in that part. There was a really funny part when he was because he was still trying to work out the chorus. This is the reason why I came back to this part because they were still sort of like figuring out the song while they were recording the song. And one of the lines that he was struggling with was to make a brighter day or a better day, right? And he kept on messing it up. Is it brighter or better? Brighter or better? And while he was singing it too, there was another line. It's a choice for you and I or you and me. And then he stopped and he said, "Should I say you and I or you and me?" And Quincy Jones said, "Say you and me." Yeah, more soulful. Got more soul. It's got more swing.
Yeah, it's funny when you hear like Quincy Jones, like he has this deep voice and he says like it's more country, man, and then Michael says, yeah, more country.
Yeah, more country. It's more hood. It's more ghetto. It's more trill. It's that real shit.
Yeah, he's so cute.
Michael's like, I want it for the streets. I want the streets to feel me.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, I just had to point that out. But the reason I brought that up about better or brighter or you and I or you and me is because while they're laying down the chorus, with everybody in the room, they keep on messing up the words because they still don't know the song. They didn't write the song. They just probably heard it one or two times, and they're still figuring it out. And that reminded me of like my times when I was making music. Like you might write something, you might lay down something, but a song ain't finished until it's out. You get what I'm saying? And
Right.
so while you're in the studio, like those changes make a big difference just for yourself. Now imagine you have four other people in the studio, five other people. 70 superstars who've all made number one hits, how different the song could be. And I thought it was interesting because it's a miracle that the song stayed the same generally from the original to the end. Because like if you have 20 cats, in the studio, you're gonna have 20, 30 different directions that the song would go. You get what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, at that part, like, everyone was throwing out ideas. Hey, let's say this. Let's say someone was saying like most people are leaning towards saying brighter, but then you have like Stevie Wonder saying better sounds more like soulful or something. And you have all these big names. Nobody wants to say no to another one. And then I guess at one point, like Stevie Wonder says something in Swahili, and he's like, "Let's add this." I don't know. He says something in Swahili, and then everyone is like, "What is happening?" Like, I don't know. And people are trying to like imitate Swahili, and they're like fucking it up and all of that stuff. It's like a lot of ideas getting thrown, and nobody's sure. But then Lionel says like he's basically going over to every like group of artists that are sort of discussing the ideas, and he's like, I had to make sure that the song stayed the same and that like the rules were the rules. And I told everyone I couldn't tell anyone I don't know. How do you want to do it? Does that sound good? Like he didn't want to sound undecisive because he said if I did that, then we would have never gotten over like recording the song. So
Yeah,
yeah,
what Stevie said in Swahili was "We are the world," but in Swahili, and he was able to translate that in his mind, which was interesting because nobody knew that Stevie Wonder knew Swahili. He would have
I
been very
know.
helpful as a tour guide during our trip to Tanzania.
Insane, insane. The
And that's
Stevie is
funny, and that's
insane.
funny on many levels because imagine Stevie Wonder being our tour guide.
Wow. I would love that. And Stevie couldn't see the Nyash, but he definitely felt it. So he felt the need to learn Swahili.
He felt the need to learn Swahili so well enough he could translate "We are the world" instantly. And in the way they show it in the movie is so hilarious because Stevie just bursts out "Umi joata, umi jowo," like something like that. Like he
Yeah.
busts that out, and then everybody just looks at him. And I cringed. I cringed so hard. I've never felt like that before. Like how could I cringe for Stevie Wonder, a musical genius? Now I'm gonna keep it real though. I'm gonna take it back to the beginning. Imagine if "We Are the World" were a black ass experience. We would have the Swahili version. That Swahili version will be number one across the world.
Wow, definitely. No, there would have been like, you know, just any word from all of the African nations. But it was funny because like the guy who went to Africa and did the charity work, and he was like one of the starters of this thing, the Live Aid guy, I think. And he was saying like this is for Ethiopia, and in Ethiopia people don't speak Swahili. So it was like it became a bit funny. And actually like one artist left, right? The artist left. He was like, I don't know Swahili. I can't do this. So I'm just gonna like leave. This is enough.
Right, right. So yeah, they speak Amharic in Ethiopia, and the look on Stevie's face when he discovered that, it was like, damn, that was hilarious. That was hilarious. He was like, oh man, that was just one of those moments that I cannot take back. That's one of the funniest things I've seen in a movie in a long time. Like Stevie Wonder learning from a white man who went to Ethiopia. They don't speak Swahili there, sir.
He just like wanted to add his own flair because Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles are kind of like the goofy old guys in the whole recording studio. Like they're constantly making jokes and stuff like that. They're just like always smiling
Right.
and hugging people and stuff. So yeah, they're
And
sort of like the class clowns.
the thing about this experience is like, how can you tell anybody no? Like the only reason we didn't get the Swahili version of "We Are the World" is just because of the fact that they don't speak Swahili in Ethiopia. Because I think Stevie was really gung ho on that. He was gonna be like, no, we're doing this. But the only reason it didn't happen is because they don't speak it there. And
Yeah,
like,
like Lionel had to step in and just like talk to Stevie. Like Stevie, they don't speak it there. It's the wrong audience, Stevie.
right, and all the white folks are just generally uncomfortable. Like, there's no way you could teach white folks more than Mumbo and Jumbo and Keribu in less than 5 minutes for "We Are the World." Like, there's no way. Like, and so Waylon Jennings, who's like a famous country singer, who was famous for like being like Johnny Cash ish. You know what I mean? Like an outlaw bad boy country singer.
Okay.
Like he's like, well, ain't no good old boy ever sang no Swahili. I guess I'm out of here. I did not know that anybody would walk out of "We Are the World," but that's white privilege. You're like, fuck Michael Jackson. This is nigga shit.
I know that was sad. Like it's his loss. I mean, his name is still on the Wikipedia page because maybe he did the first chorus or something. I don't know. But yeah, he that was weak.
Yeah, that's weak sauce. You weak for that, Waylon. He's dead now, but he's still weak. He's probably in heaven. Like, oh God, I told them niggas I ain't singing no Swahili. No.
It
That's
was just
crazy,
it. Come on, like it's not that hard. Like he can chill. It's not that hard. It's just like one sentence.
man. When Stevie started singing in Swahili, Al Jarreau looked at him and said, "Nigga, what?" He looked at him crazy.
No, there was like one other black guy who was trying to repeat it, and it was just so funny because like Stevie's saying like "Mbebe," and then the guy's like "Mbebe," like
Yeah,
what?
it was crazy. It was crazy. And so then Ray Charles tells Quincy Jones, ring the bell," and he's like, Quincy gets everybody back on track. They start laying down the chorus. It sounds great. Sounds amazing. It's powerful. They have some issues though because there's so many different artists and they have different vocal ranges, right? And so like. Some people are singing when they're supposed to stop because it's just out of their range. Bob Dylan is just there in the middle, sandwiched between like Smokey Robinson and like Harry
Cindy
Belafonte or
Lauper just
something.
like yelling at his ear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like other people are belting out. Bob Dylan is just like in his zone, and other people just can't seem to get it right. But eventually, they get that right. Now, I want to ask you: have you ever sang in a chorus or in a choir?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and so what is the rules for that in a choir in a chorus? Because I did, and the way we did it, it's a traditional choir. So I'm in the bass section, and then there's alto, and then there's tenor, right? And those three different ones, and so you know when to sing. But they didn't organize them like that. So I don't know if you've ever been in a situation that's an unorganized choir.
No, because the time I was in the choir, our teacher was making us sing like classical songs, sort of like opera-ish. And it was really hard. It was like in French and Latin and stuff like that. So we didn't understand anything that we were saying, but we rehearsed a lot. But my idea was that, okay, so if I know I'm gonna screw up, then I'm not gonna sing and I'm just gonna like, I'm just gonna move my mouth and
Mm,
act like I'm singing. And if I can't like go there, or if I don't know the lyric or anything like that, or if I forget it, I just like shut up. But yeah, I think overall, like we did like a school concert like maybe 2 times or something like that. I think overall it was good. It was definitely hard,
mm.
organizing all of that. But then again, we were only like high schoolers, so I don't think it sounded like a professional choir or anything.
Right, right.
So yeah.
Generally, the great thing about choirs is that, the more voices you have, the better it sounds because somebody's great voice will cancel out the bad voice. And if you really can't sing that part, if you do drop out, nobody will miss you because it's so many voices, right? And so that's what the key that sort of helped them unlock that. Like they showed the video of them laying down that final chorus, and like you could see, like some people just stopped, some people jumped back in when they felt right. And I feel like that's a better way rather than just everybody singing it in mass
Yeah.
together.
And like the thing when we sang, it was like a class thing. So like they gathered up like 2 classes together and everyone sang. And it didn't matter if you could sing or not because they needed it. And
Hmm.
most of the people who wanted to sing were girls. And girls don't have bass. Like we didn't have any bass voices within the girls.
Mm.
So the guys who wanted to sing, who were singing, they didn't really want to sing, but we needed them. So yeah, they were like singing even though they were off tune because that was just like, we needed that balance and harmony.
Right, right. And yeah, the natural bassiness of the boys' voices made it to even out with the natural high tone of the girls' voices. So it sounded
Yeah.
good, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not, it wasn't, it was a bit like, there were a lot of like male singers who were, just off tune and sort of like Bob Dylan-ish, like just
Hmm.
saying the song rather than singing it.
Yeah, yeah. The powerful thing about choruses, I think people are naturally attracted to them just because it's you hear a large mass of people. And so I think our brains evolutionary are wired to be attracted to anything that a lot of people are doing. Like if we see a bunch of people running, you're just going to look and see, okay, what are they running from? Why are they running? Are they jogging? Are they escaping something? Right? So when you hear a bunch of people singing together, you're just naturally more tuned into it. And it doesn't even matter if it's on key exactly or off key a bit. You're just tuned into that. And that's why gospel choirs are so amazing and why people love them. That's why if you go through my Twitter page, you'll find Islamic nasheeds without the music behind them, just people singing about God together, because it just naturally sounds good when we have people singing together in our brains. And it doesn't matter what they're singing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. And like, when you hear in the movie, when you hear that chorus for the first time, it just it's kind of sounds magical because in my head I was thinking, how come like you're gonna have 40 people screaming their lungs out singing this chorus because it's like a higher pitched chorus and they sound angelic.
Mhm.
Like how are you having that? And they sound so like in balance and everyone in that chorus has a great voice. So it's another level of that. But yeah, I do agree with you. Like when it comes to people singing together, it has that different attraction.
Right, right, right. So yeah, after they lay down the chorus, Ray Charles starts playing the "We Are the World" tune on the piano, blues version. Once again, showing the black ass version of this song would have been amazing, bro. That shit would have been a bop. Still to this day, we'd be like, yeah, we the world, we the children, we outside building. Hey, get the world. Hey, it would have
Okay,
been.
that's not the version that he played. His version was a bit more like, Georgia, but okay.
Yeah, he played the Georgia version of "We Are the World," but I'm telling you, that black version would have had all the Waylon Jennings of the world. Be like, well, ain't this some nigga shit?
Wow.
Yeah, they all like take a mini break. There's a funny joke where Ray Charles says, "I need to go to the bathroom," so then Stevie Wonder takes him by the arm and says, "I'll show you the way," and everybody starts laughing, which goes to show, man, there's a lot of humor in this movie, and it humanizes the people because, like, once again, we have this idea that musicians are all in the Illuminati. They all secretly are gay. They're all secretly drug addicts. They all secretly are just evil, nasty people who got rich and famous because they sold their soul. But like, you're looking at Dionne Warwick hanging out with Bruce Springsteen. You see Tina Turner like talking to like Hall and Oates. You get what I'm saying? And you're like, these are people. These are just people. You feel me? That's what I was
Yeah,
noticing
no,
the most about the
there
movie.
definitely there's like a lot of humble moments that you see within, these big artists. Even with like Lionel Richie, we see him presenting an award show, getting 6 awards, and then he's doing the interview for this. And he's saying, I couldn't believe I was in the same room with all of these amazing people, You see a lot of like
Humility.
humility. So yeah, it's people just like eating burgers together and there was like that one point where one of the I forgot, I think it was Diana Ross, and he went up to I don't know if it was Bob Dylan or Bruce Springsteen, and he asked for an autograph, and she said like, can you sign my notes, like the music sheet, and then everyone went around asking for the other person to sign their sheets and stuff like that. So yeah, like at times there were a little bit of ego, but in general, everyone was sort of like fascinated by being around all these great artists because everyone was a great artist in this room. So like, it's like, who wouldn't be humbled? And then you also see all of those people, like they show Cindy Lauper, and Dionne Warwick, like just talking behind the scenes today, and they're like just fascinated by the talent that they're surrounded by, and you just like feel like as a regular person you want to be there, but you can see that those people who were there were like really appreciative of it in a way, like they were really excited to be there in the presence of all that talent, no matter like which genre or what how many awards that they won. And you can also see a lot of anxiety. Bob Dylan, he's like super anxious because he doesn't really fit in the concept of it, like you said. So he's like just sort of, a bit intimidated by everything that's going on.
Yeah, a little bit of that, oh, they're so great to hang around, or I can't believe I'm hanging out with Lionel Richie. Like, a bit of that is a bit annoying because, like, we always hear celebrities say that, like, anytime they do a movie, a project together, they could secretly hate their guts, but they always have to say the same lines. He was amazing to work with. So a part of me is like, it's a bit cringe, but it's hard to imagine that they had the cameras on these people for like 8 hours and, like, they didn't get catty. They didn't, turn nasty on each other. They didn't, be dicks because
Yeah.
like generally if this was fake it would have been caught on camera, but it was generally real. Like they were cool, they were chill. That's how I view it. But I do think a little bit of it is that Hollywood talk that say everything positive because you don't want to be negative about another person, at least in front of other people, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, yes, but I don't also really think a lot of the people in there had like knew other people that deeply. Yeah, maybe they saw them, like other than Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson or Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles and stuff like that. I don't think like a lot of people knew each other deeply or haven't spent that much time with each other because they would normally never be in a project together. So I feel like for most of them, it was like the first time they were actually meeting that person, not in like seeing them in an award show and saying only hi to that person for 1 second and then just passing by,
Right,
Maybe
right.
there were like some people who had beef, maybe they just didn't interact with each other. I don't know, like there wasn't a lot of like footage of Tina interacting with other people, for example. I don't know like which era she was in, but yeah, there were like not a lot of all people like interacting, but I feel like in general people just like didn't know a lot of each other.
Right, right. I just have to say though that there is a lot of history with some of the people though, because of course Quincy, Lionel, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Ray Charles all knew Michael Jackson. They saw him
Yeah.
grow up as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also Diana Ross was in there in the We Are the World ensemble, and Michael Jackson had the biggest crush on Diana Ross, but she never reciprocated that to him because when Michael was coming up, he was not that good. All right, this is the thing because like I feel like people said Michael Jackson was an ugly kid, and that made him want to change his nose and face and stuff like that. But when I talk to my parents or older black people, they say that the Jacksons were the handsomest black men in America in the 60s and 70s. And they were like the Kennedys and stuff like that. But maybe Michael always felt ugly because his daddy always beat on him and told him he had a big nose and stuff like that. But either way, like Michael had a big crush on Diana Ross, but she never, reciprocated because I think Diana is much older than Michael anyway. And so, yeah, there probably was some of that in the air too, like, oh man, the
Yeah.
girl I always wanted is right across the room. And look at that, she's
Yeah.
hugged up with Lionel Richie.
I mean, yeah, you can see sort of like Michael, they show him every now and then, and you can see he's a bit nervous, but he's also like focused on his work and he's trying to like execute it and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe he's not like interacting too much with everyone and he's only sort of interacting with, the people who are just really close to him because he does seem a bit tired and a bit nervous and also a lot of focus. But honestly, let's be honest, like the best Michael ever looked were like those early days. Like
What do you mean?
after
Like,
that,
wait, what's early days? I don't know which era you're talking
like
about.
Thriller and before.
He looked the best at Thriller with the nose, with the new nose.
He didn't have the new nose in
Yes,
Thriller.
yes, he did. Yes, he did. That is not the
I'm
same.
looking at a picture.
That is no. That's the he did have a nose job by Thriller. What are you talking about?
Okay. Well, okay. I need to find a photo pre nose job then.
Okay,
But he was still black in Thriller.
he was black in this movie. Yes, Michael was black in this movie. Yes, he was.
And
But yeah,
I'm just saying, this is my opinion. I don't know about the nose job or anything, but I do think Thriller and before he looked the best. And then after Thriller, it just kind of became ghosty.
okay. But,
Sorry, Michael. I
but
love Michael.
yeah, I mean, he did have a lot of accidents. He did have the Pepsi fire accident. He
Yeah.
had, a lot of trauma just growing up and being in the spotlight, biggest celebrity in the world. So there was a lot on his mind. But yeah, there's not a lot of cattiness in this movie, not a lot of drama. I think they wanted to make the movie overall positive, so they didn't talk about the Prince and Michael Jackson beef because Prince never shows up. And the girl Sheila E says, I felt a little bit used because I was just there so they could get Prince, but Prince was like at the club, like with a bunch of hoes, and he was like, I want to come play guitar in another room for a solo. And they're like, Prince, no, we want you to sing. And he's like, goodbye. So, yeah. What happens next? What happens next?
Yeah, I think after that they record the chorus and they go into the solos, and now everybody's sort of getting assigned their parts. And then they talk about like how some people were asking, "Oh, why does he get this part? Why does she get this part?" And they were just like, they set the stage. They tape everyone's names, like a circle, so everyone sings looking at each other, and they basically start taking turns singing together, and yeah, we see them like doing their first takes as like they're learning their solos and stuff like that. And Michael, I think Lionel starts, right, and then it sort of goes on from there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they pair the people up in groups and stuff like that. And yeah, some people were like really messing up their lines. They still didn't really know the lyrics, but they sort of like paired people off that wouldn't really be seen together. Like they paired Willie Nelson with Dionne Warwick, and they paired like Cyndi Lauper with like damn, I forgot the big white guy's name, Kenny Loggins or something like that. No,
Yeah,
they like Michael Jackson, then Kenny Loggins, Cyndi Lauper, and I don't know somebody else. And it was like weird combinations, but they did it based on like the raspiness of their voice and the power of their voice and what ranges they could hit, which I thought was very, very, very good. What do you think?
yeah, definitely. Like the whole like switching. It was like once you see them doing their final takes, everyone sounds incredible. Like most people sound like just really good.
I wouldn't say everybody because I feel like Bruce Springsteen wasn't able to bring his best. He just got off tour. Voice was raspy. I feel like if he could do it again, he would have, cleared up his voice a bit and not come so hard.
Yeah, but I mean, he's Bruce Springsteen. He has that significant, like, just special, singing style with his
Mhm.
throat and ripping and all of that. So, it's one line, and I think he did it good at the end.
Right, right, right. Stevie Wonder was trying to troll again. Stevie Wonder was like making jokes when him and Ray Charles were like singing together. No, him and Lionel Richie were singing together for one of the lines, and he messed up on purpose. And Quincy Jones had to turn up on his ass and said, "Stevie, I know you see me, nigga. Stop playing around."
Wow.
And Lionel and Stevie were like, "Oh, Quincy, Quincy, calm down." That was dope. That
Yeah.
was dope. I never knew Stevie Wonder was a troll. I would hate to be in the studio with him, bro.
Wow.
Seriously.
Why?
He's gonna make this all worse. All right, Simon. How about instead of like rapping, what if we do like spoken word Amharic poetry? Like what? No. How about instead of spitting a mean 16, we go and hum on the song while I play accordion? What?
Well, yeah, he's gonna make the recording session like 10 times longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, he like his energy was like still really good because at this point it's like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and they're
Mhm.
just starting their like solo songs and stuff like that, and everyone is sort of tired. Some people are drunk,
Yeah.
and he's just like keeping the energy up,
Right. Right.
because
Right.
you need that at a time like that. You need a bit goofing around sometimes.
Who do you think did the best on their part? Because for me, I think Tina killed it, but I was really impressed by Cyndi Lauper. I really didn't know she could sing for real. Like I
Yeah.
did not know because I girls just want to have fun. To me, it sounds so simple, but if you really break it down, like that is a high level of singing that she's doing because she's hitting all those notes at a very high octave. And
Definitely.
in this song too, she was really going in with her runs and putting a lot of soul in it, like for real.
Yeah, she was really good. I mean, my favorites were obviously I really like Stevie's part because he put a lot of soul into that too. But he's like he's a no doubt like is gonna be a great sort of person. But mine was also the guy from Journey. I don't know his name.
Yeah.
Steve Perry. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
Maybe. Yeah,
Hmm.
Steve Perry. My favorite was him. So yeah, like he has like a high sort of voice, and I think he did really good. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a part where like all like three white guys who I've never heard of and never seen before, all
Yeah.
with big '80s hair, just back to back, with just
One of
laid
them
them
is
vocals down.
yes, Steve Perry is the Journey guy, and then Daryl Hall from Hall and Oates.
Hmm.
He was good. And then I guess the next one is Huey Lewis. He was like his part was supposed to be sang by Prince, and then they
Hmm.
just sort of give it to him in the last minute. And he did
Hmm.
a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, yeah. Like Quincy Jones says, them white boys really brought it. They brought it to the
Yeah,
table. They laid it down. But I'm saying the soul version of this would have been epic. You
yeah.
got Rick James, you got Prince talking about boom, boom, we the world, boom, 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 we the children, boom, 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 we the world. Hey, that shit would have been different.
Wow.
That shit would have,
Silly.
for real, that shit would have been different. But anyway, so yeah,
Um,
they all do their solos and stuff like that. It
and then
sounds
they come to Bob Dylan.
Yeah, they come to the serious fills now. So they're gonna do some background vocals or their solos and stuff, but they're having Springsteen and Dylan do it. And that was an interesting dichotomy because like Dylan is like sort of like the prototype for like the rock star, right? Because he's a folk singer, but he also went electric like in the 60s and 70s. And sort of like Dylan's folk songs sort of became like the basis for the image of what we consider like the rock star, right? And Springsteen is like the modern incarnation of that. It's like the second generation. Like Springsteen even says in the movie, I grew up listening to Bob as a kid, and uh, Bob Dylan has always been reclusive, right? Like he's the guy that you can't really put a finger on. He's done the incredible, sold millions of records, but he doesn't really want the spotlight like that. And he's
Mhm.
very strange. And his recording process is not with a bunch of people in the studio with cameras all on him, the bright flashing lights. He probably does his stuff, one or two producers, an engineer, and him and a pack of Marlboro cigarettes. But he's here with Michael Jackson and all these other stars in the room, and he's expected to sing "We Are the World," some big pop song. And he goes to the mic and just starts mumbling, like mumbling that whole thing. We the world.
Yeah, like
We,
you
we,
can't even really hear like words coming out of his
we,
mouth because
we the
he's like
world.
just that unsure of what
We the,
he's singing.
we the world. We the children. What is this? So yeah. Oh my God. What did you think of that? Him coming to the mic like that?
Yeah, I felt a bit bad for him because yeah, when like they were describing him and stuff, they were saying like he didn't really know like how to fit into the song, and he looked super uncomfortable. And it's also like, all of the solos have been done, and they're kind of doing like this additional like stuff that's going to sound from the background, like the last part of the song. And it's a lot of pressure because you heard all of these great singers sing all of their great parts, and now you just can't get a word out.
Mm.
So yeah, I feel like that was really like sort of sad, but also very relatable. And I felt anxiety for him. And it was like, how he solved the problem was like super sweet, super tender.
Yeah, so basically, Stevie Wonder had to like, Stevie walked up to him, looked him in the eyes, and said, "Come with me, my son." And Stevie Wonder put his arm over him and led him to the piano.
Like, he
And
actually asked Stevie though. He
no, no,
said,
no. That's the story that they want you to believe. What really happened is Stevie, saw that Bob was not doing well, so he opened up the piano keys and opened up the sheet music and started reading the music and played the tune and said, "Bob, come here." And Bob started singing it. And Stevie was a great mimicker. I forgot who said it. Maybe it was Lionel. Maybe it was Quincy Jones. He said Stevie's a great mimicker, so he's able to get in your head and make you sound great and figure out what you need to do to sing. So they kick everybody else out the studio, and Steve and Bob sort of work it out together. And then Bob goes back to the mic and delivers that powerful, raspy, soulful white boy, as soulful as a white man can get, and lays down his part. What did you think of that?
I mean, I like this part because, he's obviously a big, voice in the music industry, and especially in his like genre. So they couldn't only have him in the chorus,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody knows he's not singing the chorus. He's
Mm-hmm.
just like moving his lips really. So they had to add his part. And I think it added like, a little, something different. And it was cute. It was nice.
Mm-hmm. You think Quincy Jones or Stevie Wonder or Michael Jackson ever checked Bob Dylan about saying the N word on Hurricane?
He said the N word?
Yeah, you never heard Hurricane?
No.
Oh man, that's one of his most popular songs. It's a great song too. I'm not gonna lie, it's a good song and it has a great message.
I mean, Quincy Jones really like there was that part where I think Lionel maybe was talking about how like Quincy not only had to be a musician or a producer, he had to be just more than everything. He had to be like a psychiatrist. And then we
Mm-hmm.
see like this scene where Quincy Jones is like telling Bob Dylan, "Hey man, like that was great. It's really special. Like how you said it here, how you said this word and that word. Like it's just really gives the song something so special." And he's like really encouraging Bob Dylan, basically like how a teacher encourages a student, like a child,
Mm-hmm.
and you see like this Bob Dylan just like very doubtful of himself, and Quincy is basically like a parent or like a teacher who's just like calming him down, and that was like really cute. So I don't think they checked him. I don't know.
You don't think they checked? I think maybe that's why Bob was nervous overall. He was like, I never said sorry for Hurricane. I never said sorry for Hurricane. He was thinking that the entire time.
Yeah, he was like feeling guilty about it.
He thought Al Jarreau was going to get in his ass.
Wow.
Like Al Jarreau was going to put hands on him. Oh,
I
God.
mean, who knows? Maybe that happened behind the scenes. They just didn't show it.
No, no. But
But
anyway,
they wouldn't do that in that production. They wouldn't risk like him walking out and stuff like that. Maybe they did it another time.
Bob Dylan walks out like Waylon Jennings and says, "This some nigga shit."
Wow.
And then that's when we'll finally get the black way of the world. The bass gonna drop. Doom, 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 doom,
Okay, I
doom,
know you just really wanted it, so
doom.
you just really want the black "We Are the World," so you have to produce it.
Hey, but anyway, what was I going to say? So, yeah, Bob Dylan lays down his part, which is cool. Then Bruce Springsteen comes in and he lays down his part. He just got off tour and his voice is hella raspy. And this is the part of the movie that just reminded me, at least in my opinion, that a lot of what made this song work is just the names on it because the singing is not always there. Because I feel like in any other recording session, they would have made, Bruce do that take again, or they would have said, let's do it tomorrow or something like that. But because of the time constraints and also because of what they were trying to accomplish, they just had to take what they had. And so when Quincy said, "Yeah, that's a great take," I was like, "That's not a great take." He was singing very flat. He was not, reaching. Like maybe in post production they could fix it, but I feel
Mhm.
like that part of the movie reminded me. Oh, the reason why this song is like the ninth biggest single of all time, even in 2024, is just a lot of name brand recognition, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But what do you think?
yeah, of course. I mean, that's why they tried to gather all of the big names. That's why they gathered the first three or four big names so that they could like just make it super big. Because obviously, the song is not like the greatest song of all time, if you look at it like musically or technically or whatever. But what it stands for is big. So, and what it stands for is that it needs donations to help people in Africa and all of that. So, yeah, of course they need big names. That's just like the marketing part of it.
Facts, big facts. So, but honestly, I wasn't feeling Bruce's part like that. At least just the acapella. What did you think?
I mean, I don't know, like Bruce's voice, I do like that like raspy voice a little bit, but I like it as far as Bon Jovi. And if it's more than that, and I feel like Bruce is a bit more than that, it's not really my style. I don't really know like his songs and stuff, except other than like Born
I
in the
didn't know Bruce
USA.
was in Bon Jovi.
What? No, he's not.
I could have thworn you said
Bon
Bruce
Jovi is
Springsteen and said
not a
Bon
band,
Jovi.
it's a person.
Bon Jovi's a person.
Yes,
Who names their kid Bon Jovi?
it's a stage name, I think.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, the Raspberries I like is as much as Bon Jovi has. So yeah, other than that, it's not really my style. I do think like he did his part for the song, so I'll say that.
Right, right, right. But yeah, moving on after Springsteen does his part, is there anything else after that? What else do they do? I feel like there's one more thing that they did after that for the song.
Um, I don't know. Okay, so after this, after they recorded the song,
No, there was
they
nothing else after that. When Springsteen laid it down, was that the end of it?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah, I can't remember anything else after that. So we'll just say that's
Yeah,
a wrap
no,
up.
because they told him like you're officially on holiday now. You can go.
Yeah, because he had just finished tour, and the last thing he did for work was "We Are the World," which goes to show, man, being a rock star is the coolest job in the world. That's got to be like top 10. Like even though you stayed up literally probably 48 hours, you just made like one of the biggest songs of all time. You went on one of the biggest tours ever. You get what I'm saying? Like that's one of the top jobs of all time if you can land it. And only like one out of a billion people will get it. But when you do get it, you got to take advantage of it. So yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, yeah,
You're on vacation now, buddy. I wasn't before.
yeah. It was it was cool. Like everybody was sort of hugging, and they also tell us like that. Let me see, who was it? It was Diana Ross. She was like crying because she didn't want it to end because it was so like touching and sentimental and all of that.
I was
So
like,
yeah,
cat lady, if you don't go home, you if you don't go home and hug on your five cats.
yeah, like I think everyone was sort of relieved that it was over and they were tired and stuff like that. But I like Lionel Richie talks about like that moment he went home and everybody was talking about the MAAs and how he won 6 awards and stuff like that. But all he can think of was "We Are the World." So yeah, everyone. I think most people who were in that song actually sort of realized it later how precious it was.
That's crazy. That's how I knew right then and there. Lionel Richie had a white wife because ain't no black woman letting you come home at 8 a.m. talking about I just finished recording with Michael Jackson. Shut the fuck up, nigga. Where you been?
I don't know. I'm gonna check now, but
I
he's
definitely
single now.
yeah, he's single now. Well, Lionel Richie, because one of Lionel Richie's kids hung out with Paris Hilton back in the day. I forgot her name, Nicole Richie. Yeah, Nicole and Paris were like inseparable, and they came up together. And I believe she's half white, if I remember. But yeah,
Yeah, his second wife is definitely white.
but that wife in the '80s.
The wife, okay, Brenda Harvey. Let's see. She's black.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
all right. So I take back my little colorist statement. But that was a joke. That was a joke. I meant that as a joke. But either way, goddamn, how your wife let you come home at 8 a.m. If I came home at 8 a.m. and said, "Actually, I just got finished recording with Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Cindy Lauper."
Obviously, you would have told me before, so I would expect you to come late. Like,
No, no, I'm gonna say
stop.
it's a surprise.
No, it's not. No, I'm not doing that.
No. Mm.
But yeah, after that they kind of show like what sort of influence that it makes in the world, and they show like just a lot of people singing the song together. Like they're singing the song in different languages. They're singing it like in Arabic, in I don't know Spanish, and it's playing in all of the radio stations around the world.
Oh.
And I do think like it's really a great way of like raising money because it was very like powerful when they said, this song is still one of the top charting songs ever, and
Mm.
it's still making money for the people who are in need.
Hmm.
It's like since the day it was published till today, it's still making money, and that's just amazing. It's
Right, but
like a legendary way of helping people.
right, right, and I don't know. At that part of the movie, that's sort of like where it just became sort of like bittersweet, if not all outright negative for me. Because on one hand, it's so easy to criticize the song and say that this is like performative activism. This is people just doing something to gain attention about something and just make themselves look good. And Ethiopia today is still a very poor nation. They're going through war. They're going through famine still to this day. And it begs the question, like, what is the point of all this? And we can feel good after watching the movie, but we're not feeling good actually because they solved the issue. We feel good just because we saw sentimental moments of Michael Jackson, of people volunteering for a cause who have millions of dollars and don't have to do it for anything. But then you're like, damn, why is our world like this? Still like this? This happened over 40 years ago, and we're still dealing with the same problems.
Mm.
And that's where it just becomes a bit hard to, watch this thing and still be happy about what you're seeing because you get that feeling like this is all kind of pointless, and it's all sort of like, like selfish for these celebrities just to do this and act like they're doing something. What do you think?
Mm. Of course, I get like it's a bit of a there is advertisement to it, there is showmanship to it, and all of that. But you can't. At the same time, I feel like you cannot underestimate I guess, like the social effect that it has done. Of course, yes, it didn't solve the famine and it didn't solve everything, people are going through. It's still happening today, but at least it did affect like some people. It's sort of like maybe I'm being too optimistic. Maybe I'm trying to look at the glass half full rather than half empty. And there is still a lot of things that like we need to do as humanity to make this world an equal place for us to live just like peacefully and stuff like that. But I do think this project inspired a lot of later projects that were directed at helping other causes, not only Africa, but just everywhere around the world.
Mm,
And that's only something that music and art can do. Maybe even if it doesn't like save everybody, it does put a thought to your mind to think about those people.
right.
And I think that's like the power of making the song. Not the financial part, and I'm sure the financial part also helped a lot of people. Yes, it's not enough, but I'm sure it helped a lot of people still. But I think it's just more than that. It's more than the financial part. It's a bit, you have to think of it like a bit more, just spreading the thought sort of
Hmm.
way.
Right. In general, in principle, I feel you. I just feel a little bit like I disagree because I'm just going to say, like, it feels just very so capitalist, like just so like it just feels like that commercial where what was it? Kylie Jenner brought the Pepsi Cola to the police officer and
Kendall
solved
Jenner.
racism. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like one of those moments. And We Are the World feels like the beginning of this sort of moment in pop culture history, where every few years or every few moments there are celebrities coming together to say we are going to stand against poverty, we're going to stand against hate, we're going to stand against homophobia, and they do something just to show that, and then it just sorts of falls flat. And it also reminds me of like how during COVID there were those celebrities who all got together on Zoom to sing John Lennon's I Wonder" or something like that. What was the name of that song?
Imagine.
Imagine, yeah, Imagine, and that was ridiculed across the internet. And I feel like We Are the World was sincere a little bit. It was sincere a little bit, but because it was so sincere and so successful, like everything else in celebrity culture or pop culture, people replicate it and copy it. So we get the horrible Zoom where I imagine, right? Or Imagine with Gal Gadot and all the celebrities. We get horrible stuff like We Are the World 2 with Lil Wayne and T-Pain.
That
and
was
we
so
get
bad.
and we get other cringe events of like celebrities coming together to try to do something like We Are the World. And there's been more negative, like bad music made because of stuff like this. Do you get what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
of course. I think, yeah, not every campaign who does it has the same effect, and I don't believe every campaign has the same like intentions, honestly.
Hmm.
And also, like, to do something like this at that time, where you couldn't even call the other person from your cell phone, and you had to, like, I don't know, use the land phone and stuff like that. It was for that time. I think it did spread awareness because it wasn't like today where you just go online and everyone is talking about the wars. Uh, all of the war crimes happening around the world and everybody's like posting stuff about it and stuff. It wasn't the case back then. So I think that's why this was sort of like a pivotal moment for that. Yes, it did take in it. Yeah, people did take advantage of it. Definitely, like there is such a thing. Like the whole thing is capitalist, but sometimes you can use capitalism for a good cause. I do believe that,
Hmm.
and sometimes you just use it for capitalist, reasons and not really helping people. There is a lot of abuse within charities and things like that, like abusing the power and money and all of that.
Hmm.
So yeah, that I mean, when I said looking at the positive side and stuff, I was specifically talking about this project.
Right.
And
It
so
does
yeah,
increase mindfulness because let's look at the lyrics of We Are the World. Like, we are the world, we are the children, we are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, we're saving our own lives. Let's join hands and make a better day for you and me, or something like that, right?
yeah,
Like,
like we're saving our own lives. You always say that overcoming racism will help like white people.
hmm.
You say that it's going to
Hmm.
help all of humanity, not only white people, but
Hmm.
white people who are being racist are only harming themselves
Yes.
because in sort of like a in a way it comes back to them at the
Hmm.
end. It
Hmm.
bites them back.
Hmm.
So Michael is basically saying the same thing. Like if we don't help them now, it's going to come back to us and it's going to
Hmm.
bite us in the ass.
Right. No, definitely. That also reminds me of like Tupac's quote for like Thug Life. Like, Thug Life stands for "the hate you give little infants fucks everyone," or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's that same idea. Like, yeah, I just feel like We Are the World though is a bit too broad, and this is one of the biggest problems about like the sort of like celebrity activism is that a lot of the times it's very broad and it's not talking about anything specific. It's one thing to say let's end poverty in the world, okay, and it's another thing to say let's end discrimination at work where people lose their jobs or aren't able to get better employment because of that. You get what I'm saying? And that's harder to make a song about. And it's harder to make a song saying let's end systemic sexism against women in America. That don't fly. That don't flow. Stevie Wonder couldn't translate that into Swahili. So the thing about the celebrity stuff is like they try to make it appeal to everybody. Let's get Springsteen, let's get Dylan, let's get Tina Turner all on one track. Talk about the broadest thing possible that nobody can get offended about, nobody can ever dispute. Who's going to talk bad about children, right? And let's just put that out there, right? Which on one hand works because it gets the most people to listen, but on the other hand, what are they listening to? Emptiness, emptiness, right? There's no real message other than give to charity, give money, 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 money. This can solve it. Do you feel me? Do you get where I'm coming
Yeah,
from?
I get it, but that's the marketing side of the whole thing because if they don't make that much money, who's it going to help? It's not going to help the people in Africa either. You know what I mean? Yes, maybe they get popularity from it or whatever that they gain from it and stuff like that. But in the essence of it, they're really doing it to raise money. So they need some sort of marketing
Mm.
for raising the money. And marketing for this is a song.
Right.
So, what is the best way of getting that song spread all over the world? It's getting the most different ranges of the most popular artists. So, it all comes down to marketing, which in the essence does benefit, the people who are in poverty.
Mm. Right. I mean, once
You
again, it's
can't,
a
I
yeah.
mean, you can't really separate music industry from capitalism at this point, or even back then. So
Hmm.
they just go hand in hand, and that's just like I guess the bitter part of it.
Hmm. Hmm. You can't separate capitalism from anything that we do in our lives. Anything,
Yeah,
even sex. Sex can't even be separated from capitalism. So music definitely cannot. Charity cannot. And definitely, somebody made a ton of money from "We Are the World." And I'm sure if we did more research about this song, yes, probably a lot of it went to charity. But there are people that run nonprofit organizations who live like CEOs of major companies. And you're wondering, how does somebody who is supposed to be giving away the money is able to live in such luxurious homes and have nice cars and Rolex watches and stuff like that? And so, yeah, it's bittersweet watching this movie, knowing that it's more that we're tuning in more for the artist rather than watching a historical event where something actual meaningful happened. You get what I'm saying? It's
I
something more
mean,
meaningful for the history of pop culture rather than human advancement. Go
of
ahead.
course, of course. I mean, the thing is called the biggest night in pop music. So it does make sense for it to be about the musicians and how they got together and how they recorded and all of that stuff. But they do include like, how much money was raised and all of that stuff at the end. So I guess like everybody kind of knows like why the song was recorded and how it influenced the world and Africa and da da da. But people maybe didn't know a lot about the background story of it.
Mm,
And you know what? Like people who see this movie, who see this documentary, are going to like listen to "We Are the World" more.
mhm.
There's gonna be an increase of the listening count of the song, and definitely it's going to make a bit more money compared to like the last year's. So there's going to be an increase in money, but I don't know this time who's going to go to. Is it still going to the foundation or is it going to go to the producers of the movie? Whatever. Like I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, like when they do remakes and stuff or just like documentaries about certain artists that are popular, their songs become popular again,
Hmm.
and they make like even more money.
Right. Right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up here. We've been on here chopping it up with this movie a lot. Overall, I give this movie a very solid score. Just for the enjoyment of it all, I give it a solid 8. Uh, it's a positive movie. It's a feel-good movie. Makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Makes you appreciate artists more. Makes you want to look into some artists maybe you didn't before. Overall, I give it an 8. The only downside is nothing with the movie itself, but just the feeling you get, knowing that a lot of this stuff is a bit performative. We have exploited artists who, generally, didn't we like to think these people are like all rich and famous and stuff like that, but a lot of these people had bad contracts, bad deals. They all worked for 8 hours for free, even if it's for a good cause. There is definitely somebody who made a ton of money from "We Are the World," even if it's for a charity. And we still have so many issues in the world. And capitalism, rather than dealing with the issues that it creates, rather would just try to commercialize tragedy and make money out of tragedy, rather than dealing with the tragedies themselves. So it's like a weird feeling watching this movie for me, and that's why I give it 8. What about you?
Yeah, I guess I do agree with you, like on the eight part. It's definitely a very heartfelt story, and it's a fun story to watch, and you reminisce like to all those like legendary singers and stuff like that. You remember them. There's that like kind of sweet sadness to it, like you said in the end about like the whole why are we still going through this question, and also like you realize that a lot of the people who did this project are like they passed away and
Mm.
they're not here and the talent is not here, so it is also kind of sad too. Yeah, but it's definitely a watch, so I'll give it an 8 as well.
All right. So this has been episode 17 of Greatest Night in Pop. Check out the movie on Netflix if you want to, or stream it for free on movies to watch .com, .to. I forgot exactly. No, .tv. Movies to watch .tv. That's what it is. That's how we watch all these movies. This is not a paid endorsement. Nobody pays us. And stay tuned for the next movie. Send more recommendations, send more comments, send more suggestions. They will be looked into, and we'll try to watch all of them. We got a few things on the agenda. We're watching We Are Who We Are right now. I think we're on episode 5 or 6. Interesting show. Gonna be an interesting, spicy review. We're gonna do it all in one take. And then what else? I have another suggestion from our guy Violator as well. Definitely going to be looking into that. He suggested a German film. We haven't reviewed any German movies, so we'll look into that one. And yeah, that's it. Also check this out on Spotify, Cinema Crossroads. Simon Hill Keeps the Trail on YouTube.com, and subscribe to Backpack Bandits, our second travel channel. And that's it. Peace.